What's up, guys? Welcome to Journey of a Hero, where we discuss Star Trek, Star Wars, A Song of Ice and Fire, and the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. My name is Aaron. Today, we're going to be getting into Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode 9, Terra Firma Part 1. All right, let's get into it. So the episode starts out with Dr. Culber and this creepy Starfleet scientist. They're discussing Giorgio and the problems that she's having. She's phasing in and out of time and space. Apparently, she's from a different universe, and they've traveled about 1,000 years forward in time, and she's having some problems. So they're discussing this. Creepy scientist doctor guy pulls up this hologram of Lieutenant Commander Yor, and we get this nice throwback to the first couple seasons of Next Generation with his uniform. Apparently, this guy's a time soldier. He traveled through time and dimensions, and he's the only previously known case to experience symptoms similar to Giorgio with the phasing that she's going through. And apparently this guy died an extremely painful death, and they say that it's nothing compared to what Giorgio's going to go through. And we get a little lesson about the temporal accords. Creepy scientist guy tells Culber that Terrans seek to die in battle, so that having Giorgio continue going through what she's going through on the ship will just be unleashing havoc. And as we've seen, Giorgio hasn't really adapted well to her new universe. She's a Terran, and they're pretty cutthroat. They're cutthroat and ruthless, and pretty much a militaristic, fascistic society. And she's been having trouble adapting to being in the prime universe as we know it. And it would be a bad thing if she was wreaking more havoc, seeking a glorious death in battle while she's on the Starship Discovery. And it was pretty cool to see Dr. Culber use the computer in Discovery and all the artificial intelligence and all the data that it's acquired to find a possible solution for Giorgio. So we get a 5% chance of Giorgio living if they go to this planet, and they don't know what they're going to look for, but that's her only chance of survival. So then we get this scene in the mess hall where Giorgio is trying to eat dinner, and she's phasing in and out, and she can't grip her glass of wine. She can't eat. We see Tilly come over and try to offer some sympathy, say that, hey, we can help you. And Giorgio, being the hard ass that she is, basically doesn't want any of Tilly's help. She throws food on her and basically embarrasses Tilly in front of the crew. And this is a moment where we have to see Tilly grow and develop. Tilly is on her hero's journey. She's now first officer. She's had a lot of experience in different things and traveling through time like the rest of the crew. She's grown a lot, and coming from somebody who was awkward, socially awkward, and didn't know where to be and when to speak. And so that's the next step of growth that I think we're going to have to see for her, is her develop a backbone. Now as the first officer, somebody who has command and authority. She can't take that crap. She can't let that type of thing happen in front of the crew, even if it's somebody like Giorgio. So we're going to have to see Tilly step up. But I think she's grown a lot, and this is going to be another stepping stone for her into the future. So then we get a scene where Captain Saru and the Admiral and Burnham and Tilly are all doing a briefing on this new option to help Giorgio. And we see Saru say that in his judgment, it's not something that he wants to do. He says that the needs of the many must outweigh the needs of the one. And this was a moment that I really liked seeing from the Admiral, where he basically tells Saru, hey, this is something that you got to do. It's like classic Starfleet values. You can't let your crew member drown. You have a crew member drowning. If you let them drown, you're never going to look at yourself the same way. The crew's never going to look at you the same way. And Saru is also a brand new captain, and he's on his own hero's journey. And we have to see him develop. He's developed so much so far, going through the Vihari and seeing that the culling isn't a necessary thing. And now he's gotten a little bit of swag to him, but he still has things to learn as a captain, and he still has more to grow. As growing is never over. You've never learned everything. Learning is a continual process throughout life. So I really liked seeing that from the Admiral, and showing that even though Starfleet in this new era, 900 and something years into the future, they have to deal in some shady areas, do some under the table things, but they still do have classic Starfleet values, and the Admiral shows Saru that. So then we get Michael going to tell Georgiou that they have this new option and that they got to take this mission. And you see Georgiou not really want any help. She's displayed so many times that she doesn't want help, and it's like a classic thing that you see in storytelling. It makes me think of Rocky. I think the movie was Rocky Balboa, which was essentially Rocky 6, where he gets cancer and he doesn't want any help. He just wants, just let me die. But then his protege convinces him to get the treatment, and I'm gonna help you. You help me. We're gonna get you back healthy. I think it was the first Creed. I don't think it was Rocky Balboa. I think it was the first Creed. But anyway, that's a tangent. But yeah, so we see Georgiou not really want that help, and she just wants to fight. She's a hardened Terran seeking to die in battle. So she goes and she swings a sword at Michael's neck. Not the last time she'll do that in this episode, as we'll see later. But I think a big reveal, I don't think we've gotten this information so far, is that in the Terran universe, Georgiou killed Michael when Michael tried to help Lorca take over. And that seems to be what has caused at least the mental part of Georgiou's problems that she's experiencing now. Is like, it's post-traumatic stress. In that universe, Georgiou was the adopted, or I should say Michael was the adopted daughter of Georgiou, and she killed her because Terrans are ruthless, hardcore. But she does apparently still have some human emotion, and now it's causing her some post-traumatic stress. So Michael convinces Georgiou to go on this mission, and I like the moment that we get to see where they're about to leave on the mission, and Saru and Tilly come, and Saru says, "Hey, we haven't always seen eye to eye, but good luck to you." And they have a handshake, and it was nice to see that Georgiou has developed some connections, and that she does actually have some real human emotion, being a Terran, where Kelpians are their slaves and their dinner, but now she actually respects Saru, whether she would admit it or not. And then Tilly comes in and gives Georgiou the hug, and you see the shocked expression on Georgiou's face. But being around prime universe humans for a period of time now, I think Georgiou, she liked the hug a little bit. I think she liked that human connection. So yeah, that was a fun moment. Then we get a little moment with Book, scene where he comes and talks to Captain Saru. And I think for this episode, it was just saying, hey, Book is still here. So he gives Saru some intel that Starfleet already had. But Book is just showing like, hey, I want to be here. I want to pull my weight. And, he really, of course, wants to stick around with Michael. But yeah, so we'll see where Book's character goes on from here the rest of the season and into the future. So Michael and Georgiou beam down to this planet, and we get this guy, Carl. Carl, regular Joe, he's wearing a suit, he's got his little hat, he's reading the paper. This really gave me vibes of like 90s Trek, whether Next Generation, or what it really reminded me of was an episode of Voyager. I don't remember which episode, but there was some like space station entity where the life form or the intelligence, it wasn't like a physical being, but it created like this holographic simulation for all the crew of Voyager. And it was like the simulation or the holograms were people that were like Southern, like down South Americans, sipping some iced tea on the porch. And, sweet talking them and trying to make them feel comfortable, but that was how that life form, that intelligence, interpreted humans and wanted to make them feel comfortable. It really reminded me of that. So I'm curious to see if we're going to see Carl again, and if we'll get an explanation. But I think it was cool that getting back to like the Star Trek storytelling over science, you know, so like we get this weird door to nowhere. This Carl guy appears out of nowhere. I'm sure there is science behind it, and we'll probably get it explained at some point. But it was a cool storytelling vehicle, where everything doesn't have to be like, oh, well, let's crunch the numbers and run the simulation, and here's the answer. Like, it was just kind of an interesting, you know, quirky kind of thing. And one thing I do want to say about new Star Trek that I'm really enjoying with both Discovery and Picard is I feel like the technology that they're displaying in the series is very, very new and very clean. I like the way the new technology looks. So even though I'm not particularly a fan of the comm badge being a tricorder, but I just thought that in this scene it displays like the new tech, and we got these personal transporters. I like the way that Star Trek is going with all the visuals. Even when Discovery was in their own time, which is before the original series, but I just like how everything looks. I think they're not being tethered to like, oh, we got to make it look like the original series, which was in the 60s, or we got to make it look like Next Generation, which was 80s and 90s. They're making it look new and fresh for today, and I think that's a good thing. And jumping over to Star Wars, I think that's something Star Wars has struggled with a little bit in their newer material. Like, I feel like they're making some changes, but I feel like they've been very tethered to like, all right, everything's got to look like it did in the 70s when the original trilogy came out. And I'm not a fan. Like, make it look cool and new and better, you know, do it for today, do it for 2020 or whatever year it is, you know. So I think Star Trek has done a good job with that. So we get Adira and Stamets working on this distress signal project. And what I take away from the scene is I really like the relationship that's developing, the friendship between Stamets and Adira. I think that it's cool seeing how they can talk to each other, and Stamets showing that, you know, I think that he's somebody who really pretends to be more of a hard ass than he really is. And we get to see a little bit of his softer side, giving Adira some advice, because even though she has taken on this Trill symbiont and has all of these other people who've lived these lives and this experience, she's what they say 17-year-old, or they are 17 years old. So Adira is still Adira basically isn't an adult, and they have all of this information from these past lives, but Adira is still developing for their own personal development. So I think it's cool seeing Stamets giving Adira some advice. Then we get to see Saru in the debriefing looking at this apparently 100-year-old message of this Kelpian woman, and they're getting some new information about the burn. I like Saru's reaction, and you got to think, in his original time from 900 plus years ago, the Kelpians literally just discovered that the Vihari isn't a death sentence, and that the culling isn't something that needs to happen. And he's the first Kelpian in Starfleet. They're just starting to explore the stars. And now seeing that, hey, the Kelpians have joined the Federation. Kelpians are out here in the universe doing things, partaking, contributing. And I really like seeing his reaction with that. Sidebar that I thought was really funny is just Saru's structure. And my apologies to the actor who plays him. Like, look at his ass. He's got no ass. It literally goes in. Like, how does he even sit? How does he sit down? He's got to stand all the time. So I don't know. The sidebar. Giorgio takes the risk. She walks through the door, and where does she end up but back in her own time, in her own universe, amongst all these fascistic Nazi-looking Terrans. The Terran universe has got to be a terrible place to live, man. Like, everybody's trying to kill each other, beat each other up all the time. Like, do you even get to relax? Like, do you ever get to chill and just put your feet up with a glass of wine? Saw Giorgio attempting to drink a glass of wine, but I think these Terrans need to chill out a little bit. So Giorgio, she walks into the mess hall, and the Terrans are partying. And I guess it's their version of partying to throw knives at each other and to grip onto these pain these torture devices and see who can hold it the longest. Man, and I want to draw a contrast to like Klingons. So Klingons, when they're first introduced in Star Trek, they're introduced as evil villains, but then obviously they become allies to the Federation, and we get Worf, and we see that the Klingons actually have a true culture, and that they have fun, they love, they enjoy battle, but they don't just kill for the sake of killing. They're not mindless, ruthless people. They actually have a structure to their culture, and they enjoy all things. It seems like the Terrans are really just evil, murderous, treacherous backstabbers, and yeah, they're basically Nazis. So who would want to live there? And we see that Giorgio, even though she is a Terran and was the Emperor, now that she's lived amongst our Prime universe for so long, she's a little bit rattled by some of the ruthlessness and the violence that she sees. We see that a few times throughout the episode, that it actually takes her back how ruthless everybody is, and it's going to take her a bit of time to adapt back to it herself. But I think that's going to be a strength to her character, is that she has taken on some of the qualities from the Prime universe as we know it, and she has all this future knowledge. She knows what's going to happen, so she's using that to kind of make herself stronger, even though she might be a little bit less ruthless. But she's picked up some good qualities through her time on Prime Discovery. One thing that's hilarious about looking at these Terrans and the way they dress, like, why does everybody look like they're auditioning to be a backup dancer for Prince or for Janet Jackson? Like, they're all wearing these their outfits are just ridiculous. Look at Colbert, look at his face, and it's just pretty funny the way that these Terrans dress their uniforms. But I gotta say, the women, they look pretty bad, man. I'm saying, Burnham and Owushaku, they're looking pretty good in this episode, I gotta say. So there's something to it. We get this scene with Giorgio and Burnham talking, and they're talking about some art and architecture that Burnham has experienced. And it made me say, oh, okay, maybe the Terrans do like normal things. They do like the humanities, art, poetry, music. But then you see Burnham says, oh, well, we, took their heads, all the artists' heads, and the Empire will profit from this. So basically, their only interest in art and beautiful things is for the sake of profiteering and strengthening themselves. So even that's not good. And then we see Saru from the Terran universe as a slave servant go to bring some wine to Michael, and she smacks that right out of his hand and basically tells him that all right, you're next on the menu. And Giorgio, again, she's shocked because she's so used now to Prime Universe Michael, and Michael and Saru, though they have a touchy relationship with Michael having this penchant for disobeying orders, they're still very close. And here you have Michael condemning Saru to death. So it was a little bit shocking for Giorgio, but then she claims Saru back as her personal slave. And we see Saru now in Giorgio's personal quarters, it looks like, and she's getting some intel from him so she can make her moves accordingly, and not get taken out by this coup attempt like she did before. And another sidebar, look at these moon platform boots these Kelpians wear. What do you think a Kelpian's foot looks like? I mean, I really don't like looking at anybody's feet, but man, these Kelpians got some crazy feet. They got some platforms like they're playing in Kiss. So Michael takes Giorgio to her, I guess the coronation of her new ship or whatever. And we come across a Wushiku and the other dude fighting in the corridor. Just standard ruthless Terran activity, and they keep it moving with that. We see Stamets delivering his poetry, his interpretive performance of Giorgio's rise to power, apparently. And Mirror Stamets is such, like, this guy's a weasel. I mean, Prime Universe Stamets is a little interesting himself, but Mirror Stamets is really just a weasel. And he was going to be the backstabber to kill Giorgio and kick off this coup the right way. But Giorgio gets the drop on him, and Stamets goes out like a sucker. Like, that's not a good way to go out, trying to stab somebody in the back and then you just get caught off guard. Like, you're supposed to have the drop on her, man. How'd you get stabbed up in the neck like that? And Stamets ends up bleeding out on the floor. But great imagery here. Giorgio with her Solange hat that she's wearing here. So then we get Giorgio and Tilly going to arrest or execute Michael. The penalty for treason is death in the Terran universe. And just again, I gotta say, I really admire the way Owo and Michael are looking right here. I enjoyed this scene, but Giorgio is not going to send herself down the same path again, killing Michael and causing herself all that post-traumatic stress and mental illness that she experienced from killing Michael before. She's not going to do that. She's going to throw her in the agonizer and see how she can twist this situation to her own will for the future. And she swings this Conan sword at Michael's neck. Second time she fakes taking off her head in the episode. But yeah, they must have had this sword just laying around from like the past Conan movies or whatever. But that's pretty much how this episode ends. And it was a very interesting episode. I'm interested to see how Terra Firma Part 2 is going to go. And I did not expect to be back in the Terran universe, back in the original timeline. So it's very interesting to see how this is all going to connect, because it seems like we have two parallel storylines now with the Prime universe and the Terran universe. So it's going to be interesting to see how they wrap this all together. But I'm on board for the ride. So that's going to do it for today. I'm going to be hitting you back tomorrow with my Mandalorian review for the episode that comes out today. I'm filming this on Friday. And I'll catch you next time. Hey, live long and prosper. Peace.